something. I think they need to get an answer one way or the other. This has been on the agenda month after month, and we can't keep it that pace. I think they can get any benefit to anybody.
Don't get me. Zoom in on it. They love it. Don't get me.
I believe by the end of the calendar year, if you're done with your research by the end of the calendar year, which I don't think can take you that long ahead. I think you could definitely have it done within by the beginning of December, which would give us still.
Contract shouldn't have to start until May 15th.
So then you're talking another, back that out, you're still talking another, say, be liberal about it, 60 days prep time for the attorney. If the new attorney was said to be hired, it'd be 60 days prep time from that. So, we're talking January.
What's customary is 120 days before the expiration of the contract.
That's the May date.
I got a whole new audience.
Not that you want to go beyond the expiration of the contract.
No, what I was getting at is, I was just backwards planning just off the top of my head with no calendar in front of me. Have a new attorney on, if we're gonna go in a different direction, have that
Doesn't zoom in very good. Sorry guys, we're not good.
Let's go by the first step of seeing
I just told Terry to go.
The last contract, being the first contract, I think took longer than it should take.
I'm just saying in terms, I think what Mike's looking for is a solidified timeline, just to make sure that this doesn't get dragged into January. That you guys move along with your process, that is the three-member committee, in a decent enough time to reach a decision to be definitively made.
I can't believe the new contract will take as long as the original contract, because we had to start.
That's not the concern. I think the concern is just to make sure that the person's in place when we're supposed to start negotiations. Right. And that they're properly prepared. Whomever it is that represents the district is in place and has had the adequate time to prepare for the start of the negotiations. I think that's what Mike's concern
Hi,
is.
Dorinda, I see your cutie over here.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm just going through my head. I mean, it just makes sense. I think you can have the whole process done by January. I'm not saying you're done, but I'm saying you meet 1 or 2 days, whatever, and then by our January meeting, we're in a position to make final decisions.
So,
Again, it's nothing. We don't have to set that in stone, just to address Mike's concerns.
How much battery you got?
No motion for the committee. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Okay, where are we?
Okay, the next thing is under new business. The November 8th meeting is election day.
So we're not doing the Monday
Or we want to do it the day before?
I prefer to do it the week after, because I'm gonna be
Well, we
going.
know that he won't be available November 8th.
For different reasons, I won't be either.
So we're not, that's.
Make a motion, we postpone until the following Tuesday.
Second.
The following Tuesday, I won't be around, but that's.
Tuesday before, Tuesday after.
Well, I mean, like I said,
Secretary.
my
Oh, that's making it worse. I'm trying to raise the agenda here.
you don't have to move it on my behalf.
Are you good on the
We're on
Monday?
number 8, I believe.
The following Monday instead of the Tuesday?
Whole business.
The whole week.
I'm going from the 9th to the 18th.
No, already 9, 10.
So the following Monday.
Monday.
You're not gonna be here, so then how about we did it the Monday
I'm
instead?
sweating.
The Monday.
That's just one, but I'm just one. Never
The
happened.
same thing with Tuesday, I mean, you're not here on Tuesday either, so. There's a chance, well, John's schedule's that far out yet or not. You have your schedule for Tuesday the 8th? That's what I'm saying, if we're both, him and I are.
Why don't you just do it for the, just do it on the 9th.
Election day doesn't mean anything.
I'll be voting early anyway.
I've already voted.
Can you make it the 8th? You can't
The
make
whole
it.
week.
If I have to be here,
I'm going the whole week.
if the quorum, if the quorum needs to be had, I can be here.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You're available.
You're
right?
possible.
I can be here for the quorum.
For the eighth,
Okay.
election day.
I would,
Oh, we got enough.
I would like to move that we put it on the ninth, that way, if the, leeway.
So if I have to be here, I
That's
have
a
to be
meeting
here.
on the night.
Leave is it?
Well,
Jim is not.
Chairman's leaving tonight.
so that's what I'm saying, just, I mean, if I have to be here, I have to be here.
We'll keep it on the eighth.
That's the next meeting.
So.
Try to turn up the volume, but
There's no action.
There's no action.
Okay.
No change.
All in favor? Any opposed?
The Austin City Food Act is started behind Lori.
The kids eat some of the food.
Gonna get some committee members, probably participate in the food basket for Austin City, and also, Jim and I do the, family at Austin City meeting.
Traditionally, what have you guys done?
We had stopped the families from Austin City because they were all about school and we
The whole deal?
decide we have actually, $20 a month, so between the two of us, $500 that
Okay.
we put both families. Sometimes it's more than $500. Most times it's more than $500. And again, this is a great big thing to come on.
You also,
So,
add that to our
what are
website,
we looking
on
at?
our Facebook page.
I can do that.
I think that'd be helpful too.
I can do that, yeah.
So per person, how much we for per person?
That's good.
We gave a lot of good Christmas gifts last year. I was gonna do a lot of shopping.
Depends on the family, depends on the size of the family. Yeah, yeah, so.
So we just
Even
get
if we get, when we get the list, we'll get,
Just let us
we'll get a family.
we'll just call
And, we can call you and say, hey, can you get for this boy, and can you get for that girl, and, and then we'll do the big stuff, 'cause a lot of it is big stuff that they want.
What's that? 9.3, the sealed, the sacred sacraments from September 3rd.
Why is that on here?
I don't know.
Who put it on?
I didn't.
Because they're already sealed and in the safe.
Yeah.
There was a note in there for it to go on there from somebody.
I don't know why it's on there either.
Maybe it's just a note to say.
Oh, just,
Well,
because whether or not they actually, I think the notes were taken, because we had the conversation, whether or not where he dropped them off, and the time of it. I think that's what we were talking about.
Okay, we're down to the go to the courts, Mr. Snappy.
Thanks,
You
Mr.
have to
Chair.
bring this up to date.
Yeah, let me just bring you up to date. Our motion to intervene before the EFSB was denied without prejudice at the recent meeting of the board. They don't really let you speak, although I did say some, which kind of got a little mad, but anyways, the reasoning for denying without prejudice was the reasons we discussed before. The basis of the motion to intervene doesn't exist anymore because we're not gonna pump well 3A. But that leads to the next development, and that is that the board voted to issue a show cause order to Invenergy why the contract should not be suspended. And the reason they issued it is because once the process begins, there's strict timelines on when things happen, when they can have a hearing and response, etc. And because Invenergy's application is not complete because of the source of water has not been resubmitted, there was concern, as you know, this board expressed, that we would have sufficient time to respond, and remove to intervene if necessary. So, so I thought it was a pretty fair and intelligent move by the board to move to suspend the docket. And they issued a show cause order last week. I think they had like 10 days to respond. So we haven't gotten Invenergy's response yet, but I would be surprised if they really opposed it, because it's really fair to everybody. In other words, they get time to put together whatever their water proposal is and have it complete, submit it to all interested parties, the cities and town, all the different town boards and departments, and us, of course. And then everybody have an opportunity to digest it, and then they can reinstate the docket and then go with appropriate timeframes. So it seems to make a lot of sense. By the same token, if Invenergy does not submit and complete the application, at some point I assume the FSB would just move to dismiss it, not just leave it suspended indefinitely. So that's what happened. So I want to report to you on that. So I think it's good. It takes the pressure off us, and we'll be able to have the opportunity to digest whatever that proposal may be, if and when they submit it. So that's all I have on that, unless there's any questions.
Question, Rich.
Yeah.
If Woonsocket does decide to jump in bed with this amenity, and they sell water, do they have the authority, or can the state force us to have to let that flow through our pipes? Or would it have to be a dedicated pipeline from Woonsocket's water source right to their power plant?
Well, it'd have to be dedicated, it couldn't go on us.
Okay, I've been asked that.
The state, I don't think the DOH would allow that.
That's good to know.
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, on the one hand, the State Water Resources Board has authority over water districts outside a jurisdictional boundary supplying water. So I believe it would have to go to the State Water Resources Board. What power the State Water Resources Board would have in terms of the location of the pipeline or the path of that pipeline, I can't answer that question, including whether or not they could, force us to allow that to tie into our system. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
What would it be, needed at both ends or something?
Well, I think that what would happen is it would be needed at this end, and then we would wholesale, we would pay wholesale and we would retail it out. I mean, this kind of dovetails with the whole, PUD, situation, whether or not the PUD wants to stay in the water business. I mean, at this point, we could, use that water and be the wholesale and retail out to everybody in Pasco, and we'd also have more than enough water to supply the entire town, should we be able to, expand the distribution system a little at a time. As a matter of fact, since you won't have to build any more wells, the money that you would put aside for future supply and development, could be applied to expand the system to provide water throughout the town. But in answer to your question, I don't know that. And it's premature too, because, they haven't submitted a plan and the SB hasn't approved it. But I can't answer that specific question.
May I ask a question? If what Mr. Bisson is saying, that it would have to be directly piped to the location, how would it be available to the town? There wouldn't be anything available if you're talking about metered at both ends or even at one end. It wouldn't really matter. But there wouldn't be any availability for water for the town if in fact it's going directly.
Well, he's saying it might not, they might have that option. I don't see it happening, but.
Tell me what would that look like?
What?
Construction-wise.
A line? They probably have to go down 102 South Main Street, is all I.
Just dig up the whole road. Yeah. Go under the
Well, that's what they did for the other power plant.
Yeah,
Came from Woonsocket.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may say, My name is Doug Jobley. I'm a resident in town here and in the district. With due respect to council, it seems to me that it would be better to have the EFSB deny the application now because of non-compliance by the applicant. And simply, you know, they have not complied with the requirements of the process. They haven't got a water proposal, and they have deadlines that they're not meeting. It would seem to me that our position, or your position, should be to request the EFSB deny the application rather than suspend it.
You don't have standing before the FSB to make that request. That's my understanding, is that correct, Mr. Swanson?
That's correct.
We don't have, by the FSB denying our intervener status, we don't have standing before them to make that request. The town has made that request because they have standing based under the fact they're interveners. Same thing with the Conservation Law Foundation. They have also made that statement because they have standing before the board.
Okay, thank
This
you.
committee does not have standing before the FSB to make that request.
Thank you.
Mr. Sinatra, you said earlier, the board, you meant the siting board, not this board, correct? Yeah. You were referring to the siting board, made the decision.
No, when I referred to, you guys had expressed concern in the past that.
Do you mean us or do you mean?
Well, in one sense, when you said, you had expressed concern in the past that if they were to change, you know, the source of water and it should negatively impact us, whether we would have enough opportunity to respond to it. So I said this board had expressed concern about that we wouldn't have enough time to respond should there be a change. So that's the only time I was referencing Harrisville.
Well, it seems to me that what's being discussed right now is probably a plan that you've already discussed with the entity to some degree. Involving stock of water coming to Harrisville, wholesale, and you'd be able to sell it retail, possibly throughout Harrisville and Pasco. Maybe you can get rid of Pasco Utility District at the same time and sell the water to the power plant. That sound right?
I think there's two options. You pump, you know, you put a line directly to the power plant, or you put it into our system, and those are the two options.
It's conjecture. There's been no discussions have been had with him.
No, but I think Mr. Sanapi is kind of prepping the board for one of these two options, that you have a choice between one of those two. But I think you have a third option, and the third option is just to stand firm like you did last time and say, we don't want water coming into our town from out of town. That water is not going to be mixed in with our aquifer and our drinking water. And I think Harrisville's doing a wonderful job supplying the water all over town already.
But the only way that option would happen would be if somebody, all of us, did you say water resources?
State water resources.
Well,
it goes, but Mr. Stoppy made the comment, that this board would potentially request intervener status if their plan for water would negatively impact the Harrisville Fire District.
Who is making that judgment as to how it will negatively impact our water?
Should
Who is doing that assessment?
This board has the authority to act on behalf of the Harrisville Fire District. So if, when it is presented, whatever it is, if it's gonna have an impact on this district, based on the EFSB's requirements to intervene.
Well, I think it's very important.
We
haven't been asked to do anything, right?
No, but it's open, it's on the floor. So, you know, I think to be an intervener, okay, especially if water is coming anywhere near you, is the right decision to make. I don't think this gentleman should be the guy intervening on your behalf, however. I think he should get private counsel.
Thank you.
I think there is a conflict of interest there.
Yep.
And I mean, any appearance of conflict of interest, be on the safe side, so that you know that your way of life is not interrupted by someone else's opinions. Also, I would think that, or I should say, the interesting thing about the fire district, Pasco Utility District, as well as the Harrisville Fire District, isn't just a blur of space. It's actually by meets and bounds. And so this district is very easy to delineate. And it's a special district, actually, and most towns and cities don't have what you have. And so you're somewhat of a little sovereign territory within the state of Rhode Island and also within the town of Bartlett. And I think that you do have a right to say whether even pipeline water comes into your district might have a negative effect on you, and you have a say in that. For someone to say that you have someone over you, you know, we all have someone over us, but nevertheless, the state doesn't usurp your authority as a fire district. That lies right here in state legislation. That needs to be looked at very carefully.
And possibly by outside counsel as well. We really need to look at that.
Amen.
I have a question. Do we even know if Woonsocket has the water capability to provide what this plant is asking for? Is it a Sinoki?
As far as I know, they got plenty of water.
That's what I heard too.
Be straight with us, Mr. Sinapi. Have you been discussing this with Energy at all?
Nope.
Well, that city Woonsocket?
Nope.
You just come up with this plan all by yourself?
I didn't come up with a plan, I just told you what the two options are. I mean, it's kind of common sense.
We have engineers and we're trying to figure out the same thing you are.
Thank you.
They sound like pretty solidified options at this point. That's why.
It's a very scientific thing. I mean, you move water one way through a pipeline.
Right.
What are the options for that pipeline? It's a direct line, or they save money by piping it through us. It's just one or the other. It's no conversations.
Right, but you as the water district, fire district, and as the town, have the right to say, no, we're not putting these pipes in our road. When they're not state roads.
And it goes back to the process would be, the proper process would be, once the plan is issued, once the plan is presented, we have the option to request intervenor status if it's going to be a situation where no other entity is representing us before the FSB.
See, what I like about the Harrisville Fire District, they're a nonprofit organization, so it's not about money to you. Okay, it's about preserving our way of life in Bartlett. You know, even though Harrisville Fire District is Harrisville, and Pasco Utility District is Pasco, it's all Bartlett. They're all one and the same. And so it's protecting our way of life and securing a way of life for our grandchildren.
I can't unplug yet.
So when we look at the power plant, it's in
I'm a bad guy, so I gotta.
The point is, there's no argument because you're echoing what we've already had discussions about.
I just want to add something here. We all drink this water, and some of us, our families have been drinking it longer than others. And all I can tell you is we're doing our best up here to try to make sure that as far as the water goes, it's the best water we can have. I mean, or we provide the best fire protection for Harrisville. So we're all up here. I mean, there are no hidden agendas here. What Woonsocket does with their water, I don't know. All we can make sure, and that's why we went ahead and paid the money to have Stantec's report done. If well 3A and Pasco was opened up, what kind of effect would that have on our water? So that's the kind of work we do. We have to make sure, in this case, to protect our water for whatever is going into the ground or whatever they're going to be doing, whatever's going to affect the plume. So all I can tell you is, and I've worked with everybody here long enough to know that that's our goal. We're not up here trying to sneak a power plant in. And quite frankly, sometimes I resent some of the remarks people are making. We're up here just trying to do what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
And
We appreciate
so,
that.
so you know, what somebody's got planned, we have no way of knowing.
So I understand that. So may I ask a question as the board? Do you have a contingency plan in the event that this should happen? Are you preparing yourself for the possibility that this could be the case?
What could be the case?
The Woonsocket sells the water to a vendor and pipes it through the streets. What contingency plan could you do?
I don't know. I don't know.
We've had discussions in executive session.
Just one simple question, Mr. Chairman.
my brother, Mr. Snoppy, here offered two different choices. I was wondering if those would be the same if the water was purchased from a private company such as Hollis and Sand and Gravel in Slatersville, where they have a permit to sell water to Ocean State Power at this time, but it's not necessarily potable water. Would it be the same two options, or would that be a different animal?
It's not potable water, it will never go through our system.
Right.
If it's water not up to your standards, it shouldn't go into your system either.
I would fight that, I wouldn't want it going through our
Woonsocket
water. I
has
really
different
wouldn't.
standards than you do, and yours is more strict.
I would try and fight that, I wouldn't want it going through our system, but he says they.
Well, I agree with Mr. Remington, we all want the best water possible. And I didn't move to Burrville to drink Woonsocket water.
No. You still recording it? Good.
If they try to force you to do it, you need a lawyer on your side to do that. You know what I like about this place? That sign right there, talking about Boston Tea Leaving, buying bites, buying Christmas presents. That's what this town's about.
Absolutely.
Yep. We take care of each other.
Chairman, I have one other thing to report on. I'm going to be submitting the request for reimbursement of the modeling study to the point of stop work order on that to New Energy as soon as I get the final invoice from Stantec. So that should hopefully go out near the end of the week if I get that.
I think we got invoices.
No, I understand that. This is for the way the.
You said you need the invoice.
Yeah, the way the agreement was. Yeah, I need the invoice.
That's what I'm saying, she's got it, that's what I'm saying, she has it, so we get it, she has it, that was the only comment.
Yeah, no, but the way the agreement was that they would reimburse us, so obviously we have to pay Stantec, so yeah.
We already paid, we authorized the payment.
We just okayed it tonight.
All right, so if you give me, Tina, the copy of the check and the invoice, I can say, hey, we already paid it, reimburse us. And like I said, as we discussed, we'll do it to the, to the point of the stop work order, which was, I think it's like 85% of the bill, so it's pretty much the whole bill, so. And then, as I said, I'd report back to you if there is any, if there's a refusal to pay.
Why would you only do the stop work order? Once they agreed that they would cover it, why does it stop?
That's what, that was what the board had agreed upon, I believe. I believe that was what was agreed upon, so that's, I don't know how else to answer that.
We just said we wanted it completed regardless of the outcome of the.
I would think that should still.
My understanding is we were gonna complete it regardless of the outcome or request for reimbursement.
Right, absolutely.
Which is the whole thing. I don't think we ever said anything about stop order or partial reimbursement or anything like that.
The original agreement with them was they were gonna pay, unless you think for some reason that they would say they're only responsible for 85%, but the agreement that you made with them was they were gonna pay it. I personally think they should be paying the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what what you're saying does.
I don't recall anything about, I know we agreed to continue it, but I don't think we ever said we're only gonna accept 85% of reimbursement from it when the original agreement was they were gonna pay for it.
Well, just.
June 13th meeting was, motion made by David Place and seconded by John Plotchett to spend $15,000 to have the study done per the letter received from the Burrville Town Planner, also to send an invoice to Invenergy to reimburse us back for the $15,000.
It was 15 the total cost?
Well, that was the budget that we.
That's what we budgeted,
the budget.
So I believe they should be responsible for the full amount.
I don't think anybody's in disagreement.
Yeah.
I expect them to pay the whole thing. I don't think they will. I expect them to. Then they have to take the appropriate actions.
Put a lien on it.
Put a mechanic.
I'll do whatever you tell me to do. My understanding was that we're gonna do it to the point of the stop work order, and you guys completed the study for other purposes, but I don't care. If you want, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. I wanna make sure there's no misunderstanding. My instructions are.
That was the June 13th meeting, that was the annual.
We had an executive committee meeting after that. I
There
think.
was no motions made, nothing in that executive committee meeting changed anything that was mentioned there.
So should we have a motion again, just to make it perfectly clear? I'll make a motion that we ask, that Invenergy pay the full amount. Second. Stantec's bill. The utility back and all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hi, everyone.